And in 27, he introduces the concept அறிவறியாமையும் அற்ற அறிவே அறிவாகும் உண்மையை உந்தி பர அறிவதற்கொன்றில்லை உந்தி பர. This is a very important thing we need to know as worldly people. We have to know what is knowledge and what is not knowledge. What is knowledge and what is ignorance? We have to know. A scientist may know quite a lot of things. I may not know that much. I know only very little here and there, a fleeting knowledge I have. Similarly, an expert in a particular field will know so much. As a novice, I will know nothing. But the knowing of the scientist and my knowing, they both are ignorance. They both fall under the realm of ignorance. I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to listen to the one posting that I made last week called "A Scientist Becomes a Vedanthin," where Bhagavan says that you are starting your research with a fundamental flaw of not knowing who you are. So it is all ignorance. Without knowing who you are, you will not be able to conduct any research meaningfully. Why? Because you think all this is knowledge, but everything is ignorance. The knowledge which is devoid of both knowledge and ignorance about objects alone is real knowledge. So the so-called knowing is not at all knowledge. They all fall under the realm of ignorance. The truth, that is the truth, because in the state of supreme self-experience, there is nothing to know. One to know another, as we saw in the previous sloka also. Only being is knowledge, because Chit is knowledge, and Sat and Chit are one and the same. So, all the other knowledge comes out, worldly knowledge comes out only after the I thought rises. So, that I thought itself is in the realm of ignorance. So, anything that comes on the other side of I thought is nothing but ignorance. So, there's no point in saying, I know, I don't know, he knows much more, he's a genius, I'm a fool, I'm a genius, he knows nothing. Vain argument. Everybody is in the realm of ignorance. We'll have to transcend this realm of ignorance and go to the level of true knowledge. That is true knowledge. Arivu, ariyamai, knowledge, ignorance, both are ignorance. They are not true. And that level of true knowledge, there is nothing to know for anybody. Being is the only thing. So, being is knowing. Being is the pure knowledge that we are talking about. Next sloka is Tanadiyal yadena tanterigil pin anadi ananda satundi para akanda chidhanandam mundi para. So he says, so far we have seen about Sat and Chit aspect of Satchitananda. Here, the Ananda portion is being given out a little bit. If one knows what one's own nature is, then what will remain and shine is only the beginningless, endless, Anadi Ananta Sat, unbroken existence, consciousness, bliss. That Anadi Ananta Anandam alone will remain. This verse may also be interpreted to mean, if one knows what one's nature is, then it will be found the beginningless, endless, unbroken. It is only the beginningless and endless existence, consciousness, bliss. Anadi Ananta. There is no beginning, there is no end. So, if one knows what one's nature is, then only this Anadi Ananda Sachitananda will remain. And in the next one, it says, Bandha Vidatra Parasugam Utravar Inda Nilai Nitral Undi Para Iraipani Nitralamundi Para. He talks about a concept called Iraipani Nitral, abiding as enjoined by God. Staying in service of God also can also mean that doing only what God tells us to do. Being in that is being in service of God. How can you serve a guru? Does the guru need anything from you? Does the all-knowing God needs anything from anyone? So if somebody thinks he is in service of God, I want to do it for the sake of my God, he's fooling himself. How can you do any service to God who is always full of whatever he wants? You cannot. The only way you can serve a guru is by abiding by his words. That is iraipani neutral. That is abidance in the all the dictates as enjoined by the guru. You have to only listen to Guru's words and put it in practice. That is the only service one of us can do to our Ramana Bhagavan. Nothing else. Nothing else. Let us not even for an inch, for an iota, think that the service we do in ashram, the donation we give to ashram, Bhagavan is not for all this. We, because at the level of ignorance, we think it will be, my act of this will be useful for somebody, will be useful for Annadana, will be useful for, I'm going and cleaning the Gosala, will be useful for the upkeep of ashram. All that is okay. But this is not Iraipani neutral. This is all service to a department at best you can say. Or at the level of ignorance, you can say service to humanity. All that is fine. All that is fine. I'm not discouraging. I'm just saying abiding by the words of Guru is the only service that one can do to Guru, nothing else. Everything else is ignorance, is under the realm of ignorance. So, if Bhagavan says, sit, do vichara, and if you are able to sit and do that vichara, this is the only service you can do to Bhagavan. Not by, decorating Bhagavan's picture with so many flowers, making garlands and all that, plenty of things, putting incense sticks, all that. All that is to satisfy your own ego is why you're doing all that. But if you want to really be of service to Guru, you have to necessarily put Guru's teaching into practice. This is the power of Guru's teaching. And Banda Veedu Atra Parasugam Utravar, bondage liberation, which is devoid of supreme bliss, having attained that, this state of abiding in that state, in the state where there is no bandha or there is no veedu, meaning where there is no bondage, there is no liberation. So you go to the state where you are free from the thought of bondage, free from the thought of liberation, and stay in that place. That is the service you can, that is what is meant by Iraipani Nitra, or being of service to God. So this concept of service, we'll have to be very careful and understand that all the service that we think that we are doing is only for the sake of our ego. If I do something, and if I see another person having a welfare out of it, being happy with that, I'm happy. Why did I do that in the first place? I want to be happy because I cannot bear the pain, his pain. I cannot bear seeing his troubles. So I am eradicating his troubles. Why am I doing that? For me to be happy. If this is not selfishness, then what is? This all comes in. This is how any service that you do to the ego is selfish service. Any service you do to the Guru by putting his teaching in practice is selfless. The so-called reformers who want to do selfless service for the nation, why are they doing that? If the nation is prosperous, they'll be happy. Or if the humanity or their own community, their own village people are happy or educated, they are happy. Everybody is doing with this motive only. If this motive is not present, nobody will do anything. They will be like the Jnani that we saw in the 15th sloka. who has already achieved everything. He's got nothing more to do. He'll be in this state of nishta, tanmaya nishta. So the service that we can do to our guru is clearly elucidated here. Put guru's teaching in practice. That is what you can meaningfully consider as service to guru. Nothing else. Everything else is service to ego. Is inflation of our own ego, which is taking us directly opposite to the path where we should be going. So we got to be very careful in having, if you keep doing what you need to do, I'm not stopping one from donating to the ashram or doing this service or that service to ashram, but don't think they are all great service. Just do it and leave it. Forget it. The moment you have done a donation or done a job for ashram, forget it totally. It's all done and dusted. Go back to your vichara. Again and again and again, this is extremely important to bear in mind. The being of service to Guru is to follow the teachings of Guru.